Welcome to Uncovering Spirituality, where we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery into consciousness, energy, and the spirit world. Join us as we delve into the mysteries of spirituality and uncover the universal truths that connect us all. Hello, I'm Kathy Upper, founder of Spiritual Niagara. I'm also the consulting visionary and podcast host for Spiritual Canada, and this is Uncovering Spirituality. Today's episode features Amanda Fidler. Amanda is a registered psychotherapist and the owner of Checking In Counselling and Consulting in Fort Erie, Ontario. With over 15 years of experience, she has helped individuals navigate stress, trauma, mental health challenges, addiction, and personal transformation. She has worked with CEOs seeking life satisfaction, individuals overcoming deep-seated trauma, and those rebuilding self-esteem from the ground up. Amanda's diverse career has taken her from small towns in Ontario to remote communities across Canada and the city of Vancouver, shaping her holistic, culturally aware approach to therapy. She specializes in eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR, for trauma treatment, critical incident stress debriefing, and suicide intervention as an assist facilitator. Beyond clinical psychotherapy, Amanda integrates mindfulness, spirituality, and presence-based practices into her work, helping clients move beyond cognitive understanding into deep embodied healing. She believes true transformation comes from checking in, returning to the present moment, cultivating self-awareness, and breaking free from limiting patterns. Amanda holds a BA in psychology, an MA in counseling psychology, and a diploma in educational assistance special needs support. She's passionate about empowering individuals to realize their full potential and uncover the inner peace that's already within them. True happiness isn't found in external circumstances. It's cultivated from within. Healing begins the moment we choose to check in. So thanks so much for joining me today, Amanda.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I have to ask you about that quote. It's such a beautiful quote. If I can just say it again, true happiness isn't found in external circumstances. It's cultivated from within. Healing begins the moment we choose to check in.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
Actually, the business name Checking In came to me in a dream one night, funny enough, and through exploration of the term and different meanings, eventually I found like clients were coming to me seeking happiness generally. Eventually, we found that what they're really looking for is peace. When we're seeking happiness, that's looking for things externally, whether it's possessions, relationships, success, but that never leads to lasting happiness or peace. It's only temporary. But when we check in with ourselves internally, that's where actually we connect spiritually, and then we can find that lasting peace.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Beautiful. Now, is that a quote that came to you, or is that an external quote from someone else, or?
No, it's a quote that came to me one day. I don't know if that was a part of the dream, but yeah, it's all about checking in the business slogan, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Thank
Um,
you.
so today we're going to talk about psychotherapy and spirituality and how they can both be incorporated in treatment. Now, not everyone may be aware of what psychotherapy is, first of all. So let's start our discussion there. Can you tell people how you would describe psychotherapy or what psychotherapy is?
Sure. Yeah, so when I first tell people that I'm a psychotherapist, I definitely receive some mixed reactions. Some people tend to think of the couch and coming in and lying down to be analyzed or judged. I get that a lot. Or are you analyzing me? Are you judging me? But I believe it's actually the opposite. Psychotherapy is a process built very much on trust and presence, where I work with the clients to help explore their inner worlds. So rather than judging or analyzing, I feel like it's a lot more about being present, open hearts, open minds. It's a process of creating a safe place to explore, reflect, and create lasting change for the clients. Lots of different ways or types of psychotherapy. Uh, Cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the more well-known or probably the most used type of psychotherapy. We mainly do talk therapy. Different forms are dialectical behavioral therapy that focuses a little more on mindfulness, relationships, and affect regulation. EMDR is trauma therapy, so it's bilateral brain stimulation in order to process or break down and heal from past trauma. Internal family systems, that's some parts work. I do emotional freedom technique is a somatic form of therapy where we're tapping, you're probably familiar with that, some of the pressure or chakra points. And then hypnotherapy. So hypnosis to work with altered states of consciousness and rewiring the brain. So lots of different ways that we can perform or complete psychotherapy with clients. I think regardless of the modality, it's always a journey towards awareness and transformation. I believe in like client-centered, client-led therapy. So I think of it like we're going on a journey together. The client is the driver. I'm the passenger. I'm there to help facilitate the journey, maybe help them navigate, but it's really led by them and their personal goals. Yeah.
So you choose the technique then that you use with them based on, the type of therapy that they need.
Right. So in the beginning, we'll do an assessment, usually one or two sessions. And that's just getting the history, exploring the different symptoms, what really brings them to therapy. And then from there, I'll ask about what are their goals or what do they hope to take from therapy. And based on that, I'll discuss different treatment options that might be best. And then together we'll come up with a treatment plan. Yeah.
Right. So it's very client driven. Well, as any therapy really should be, right? It's the client that's, looking at what they want to get out of the therapy. They're identifying that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we as therapists are trained not to bring our own personal beliefs into the sessions, but yeah, I think some clients do definitely come to us seeking that advice, but that's their choice. And you're right, it's led by them, whatever they're looking for. We try to support them in that.
And now I'm really interested to find out how you incorporate spirituality into psychotherapy, because when I first saw that you had joined Spiritual Canada, I thought, oh, this is interesting because I mean, I come from a counseling background and I was a
Mhm.
counselor for 27 years. So I thought, wow, that would be really neat to be able to incorporate that. And I've often thought, like, how do you find somebody that does that too? Like people want spirituality to have a role in their lives, right? And how they make improvements in their lives, because I really do believe spirituality is really all about that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, how do you incorporate the two? How do you
sure.
add that in?
Yeah, I believe that psychotherapy and spirituality are very deeply interconnected. I think there's a lot of overlap between the two. On the most basic level, just being with the client, being fully present, it's almost that in itself is spiritual and in some ways can be an energy exchange. Um, to me, spirituality means believing in something bigger than our physical world. So whether we want to call that spirit, God, the universe, Buddha, anything, it doesn't really matter what we call it. I think that it's just the belief in something more. And I think that that's actually what brings a lot of people to psychotherapy is that lack or feeling like something's missing. Um, I agree. I believe most people are curious about spirituality. It doesn't necessarily matter how they got into it or what their experiences are. Like for me, I grew up going to church every Sunday, sometimes forced to go to church. Religion didn't necessarily stick for me, but eventually I got into yoga. I went to Thailand, did my yoga teacher training in Thailand, then explored Southeast Asia for a little while, got into Buddhism. I've lived in First Nations communities, so a lot of spirituality comes from that for me. And most recently, exploring A Course in Miracles has had a really big impact for me. So we all have our different beliefs and experiences, and I don't think that that matters as much as just having this underlying curiosity and being able to explore that in session. Um, yeah, the essence of spirituality to me is really about a return to love, to presence, to peace. And when we give clients this space, it allows them to open up to that inner world and really explore what really matters to them, who or what they really are. Yeah,
Yeah, isn't that what we all want, right? Is to return to peace.
I
Like
think
I,
so.
I know, like you were saying before, that when um, a lot of times when people start in therapy, it's really about happiness, right? They want to be happy. But what I've learned, and you can kind of clarify this too, is that happiness is like an emotion, like like sadness is, and like fear is, like they're all different emotions, whereas peace is a state of being,
Yes,
is the way that I look at it. Would
very
you?
well said.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It's like when people come in with depression, it's like they're being deprived of something. And I think it is that piece. It's the feeling connected to something greater. But you're right. Yeah, we get hung up on these emotions. And really, if we did experience happiness long term or joy, that would probably be pretty exhausting. I don't know that that's necessarily what we really do want as we explore that. I think most people do find it is that peace rather than, like you said, the doing caught up. Well, we live in a world where it's go, go, go. What's the next thing? Where peace is just being. We can still accomplish our daily tasks, but it's how we're doing it. So I really like that. Well said.
Yeah.
But it's the same with like, it doesn't have to just be depression, it's anxiety. Like, so many clients come in here and it's the fear, it's the needing to control everything, I think stems from the lack of spiritual beliefs. Again, feeling connected to something greater so that we can trust, have that peace without needing to control, right?
Oh, I love that. How true is that? Yeah, the need to control everything, right? Like you feel, oh yeah, I like the way you put that. And actually, and I don't think I've quite thought of it that way, but like lately I've been really in a state of acceptance, and I think that that kind of puts you into that state of peace, right? So
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
stuff happens, right? So we all have negative things that are happening in our lives, right? And um we can still be in peace with it and in acceptance of it, even though it's not a good thing, right?
Right.
It's just, it's something that's happening in this moment right now, right? And but maybe in a day from now or even an hour from now, like it's not, it's not going to be happening
Exactly.
anymore, right? So
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I've been myself personally, because I live with chronic pain. So
Oh,
and I find that myself when I go to a doctor's appointment, or I'm having, more imaging done or whatever, um, I get like this stress comes on me, right? Like it's like, um, and I'm learning a lot about nervous system regulation as well, but I noticed the difference that, now I'm reading this MRI and seeing this stuff on there and thinking, oh, great, now I got to do this or whatever. Um, and then I think,
Yeah.
that's no different than I was yesterday, right? It's just the fact that I'm reading this,
Yes,
reading
exactly.
this information, that is what is affecting how I'm feeling, right?
Right. It's so much of that anticipation too, whereas we learn to be present and live in the now, we're not going to have that as much, right? Yeah, we do a lot of the acceptance and commitment therapy, which is all about that. Like, if we can't change something, we have to learn to find ways to say, okay, instead of holding this right in front of my face and making this my world, how can I find ways to kind of put this down to the side and continue to live my life the best I can?
Yeah, and a
And
lot of it, I mean, if you're into Buddhism as well, like that's really a lot of it too, is acceptance of what is, right?
yeah,
That's where, that belief system or, um, I don't see it as a religion, but more of a belief
yeah,
system, I guess I'd say.
yeah. And the whole non-attachment, I think that that's a big part of acceptance too, is when we get so attached to how we like things to be or we expect them to go, that's where we get into trouble. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so if you think about, what psychotherapy offers in terms of different therapies, it's very already spiritual. And I
yes,
never thought about that, but it is, right? Because you're already using I don't what do you say, techniques or treatments,
sure. Modalities, yeah, tools.
modalities
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that are really focused on being present, right? And
exactly. Yeah,
that's what I've found with myself too. It's so important if we can just be present with what is and just be at peace with it.
yeah.
I it's easier said than done. It takes a lot of
Mm.
practice. And my understanding is it's like a lot of rewiring of the brain, right? I mean, if you've
Yeah,
been this way, for myself for over 60 years now, it's not something that you can do overnight. And I think that's why psychotherapy would be really helpful to people that maybe they haven't thought about it, but um, and if they have that spiritual bend, then it's already there for their taking. You know what I mean? That
right.
it's already set up to offer them something within that. Um,
Yeah,
the question that I would have is, how would you suggest to somebody that they incorporate spirituality when they're talking to a psychotherapist, a counselor?
sure. I definitely would suggest just being direct, being open about how you're feeling. Um, Hopefully, you feel comfortable enough with your therapist to bring that up. If not, you might need a new therapist. But through treatment planning, most therapists are going to ask, what are your goals or what are you hoping to achieve? What are you looking for from therapy? You don't have to necessarily say spirituality, but even I'm feeling disconnected, I'm seeking something deeper, or I'm drawn to spirituality. I believe there's deeper meaning to life. Just explore that with your therapist. I think even if they don't have the training or education necessarily in spirituality, they should be open to exploring that with you. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
if
I
they're
think that
good,
most psychotherapists.
yeah, if they're a good psychotherapist, because as you're saying, it's driven by the client, right? It's driven by that person.
Yeah,
So, yeah, if their goal is to, you know, maybe even look at the role the universe has in their life, right?
yeah,
That could be a possibility. Um, then that therapist can help them. It's funny because when you think about that, and I'm kind of getting deep here, but it just kind of came to me, and I'm getting chills as I'm
good.
thinking this. Um, that oh, I'm going to lose it. Oh no, I hate it when your mind goes somewhere else. When you're thinking about the role that the universe has, Um, and you're talking to a psychotherapist about it. So you're saying, I really want to look at what the role is that the universe has in my life. Where actually, I just want to ask you, um, hmm, how would you direct someone, I guess, is what I would want to say. Um, if I say, I really want to look at, the universe and its role in how I live my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think whether they say, again, if it's the universe or God or um, energy, whatever they believe in, it's still going to be the same response of what does that look like for you? Or a lot of times when people go through trauma or loss, that leads them into thinking about the spiritual way of thinking. So it would be exploring it in that way, like someone um, definitely with grief work, if they're talking about like, I don't know if what God is doing or why God did this to me. It's how can you see that in a more helpful way? We're never gonna know possibly until we die physically what that looks like, but we can choose to believe the most helpful perspective. So for grief, often it's the person is still around me or they're gone to heaven. I just kind of let them lead the conversation. And what would that look like for you? Or how do you know? What are some of the signs? You've said it, we get the goosebumps, we get the chills, we get that push we talked about. It's just like a intuition or a deeper knowing. So I might just guide them with different questioning along the lines of how do you know and what would that look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
different.
and then the trusting of that too, right? That's what I'm thinking. Like you gotta trust. It's learning to trust in yourself a lot of times too, as well,
Yeah,
right? Like um when you see a lot of times people will say things like they've seen this butterfly that symbolizes their mother, or they hear a
hmm.
song on the radio that, like yeah, a lot of
Right,
times it's grief that does bring people to spirituality, just because, yeah, they're seeking that deeper meaning because they don't get it now. This person is gone and they were such a part of their lives, right? So
right.
they really, I think they really want to know that there's life after death is the
Yeah,
other thing that they want to know, right?
right. I do use a lot of, I didn't mention this, but insight therapy is really about allowing the subconscious to surface, which some people might refer to that as like the divine or spirit coming forward, whether it's through mindfulness, meditation, somatic work, even hypnotherapy. We're working with different states of consciousness or different energies. And through that, we might be receiving different messages or different ways of guidance. I've always been somewhat reluctant to talk about this because psychotherapy is psychology is a science-based uh, science study. So the more I'm talking about it, I'm becoming more comfortable with it. But I think that that's why I went out on my own. I'm doing private practice. In the hospital, I did feel somewhat limited in exploring spirituality, but now that I'm doing it, clients are so open to it. I think hopefully as I spread the word about this, more clients will be aware and hopefully be seeking it. Eventually, I would like to have more groups. Connecting with Spiritual Niagara has been huge, to see that there's this community out here is really, really beautiful. So it's interesting to see where it goes and trusting in that process, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. And now that we've grown, into spiritual Canada, like
Yeah.
we're going, we want to be able to help people connect, wherever they are, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the good thing about psychotherapy is you can do that anywhere, right? Like it's not like you do need to be in person.
true.
I'm sure that, a lot changed for you during COVID. Like, yeah, well, you probably had even more people wanting your services, I would think, right?
Yes, it was busy. Yeah.
Yeah, but being able to do it online, it was just so convenient, right? That, people can meet with you anywhere, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think it's so important that we have the technology. So nice that we can meet like this. We do have a lot of clients virtually, but to have platforms groups like Spiritual Canada, it's almost like we're taking away the stigma of talking about spirituality and mental health, so that more people can become more involved, more connected, and hopefully connect with other like-minded people. So thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're welcome. The other thing I wanted to touch on, because I know in my role as a counselor, there's no way I could touch on spirituality or its influence in our life. And like you're saying, it's hard to get away from that because, well, I mean, depending, especially when you're working for another organization, I mean, that's a different story, right? So,
Yeah,
um, but I want to ask you a little bit about the hypnotherapy stuff that you mentioned. Um,
yeah,
I've done that before, and it was very interesting, like the experience that I had with it. How do you see that in terms of spirituality and hypnotherapy?
yes. So there are different types of hypnotherapy. I'm trained in clinical hypnotherapy, which is really, I don't do like past life regression. I'm interested in that, would like to do that one day, but I do more, we do an induction, which is like a guided meditation. Then we go into deepeners to put us more into the trance, moving into those theta brainwaves. Then I'm doing hypnotic suggestions, which is all about like rewiring the brain. So it's not so much of an interaction with the client when they're in that altered state, but I do think when we are in this trance, it's possible that we're definitely more at peace. Our brain waves are lower and slower, um, but possible to connect spiritually. I have clients that come out and say, wow, I don't know what just happened to me. So um, I think it's very individual too. It's very different for everyone, but just the trance state alone can be in itself spiritual, connecting to something bigger than the physical world.
Yeah, just experiencing that gives them, a different state of mind and realizing that, yeah, we have the potential to be at peace. Yeah, when I experienced it, yeah, it was very present, like because you're very focused on, what that person is saying. So there, your mind isn't going anywhere else, right? So
Yes.
it's, just like I guess it's very similar to meditation in that
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very similar. And it is like when I do guided meditations, it is quite similar. Just in hypnosis, it's a little slower, a little different tone. And the words are different because we're trying to somewhat confuse the brain, the conscious mind, to shut it down to work with the subconscious. But yeah, it's very interesting. I love having so many different tools and techniques to work with, and some clients do not are not interested in certain types of therapy, so it's nice to have a different toolbox. But yeah, I like that there's so many different ways to incorporate spirituality. Um, Easier, I guess, to have people connect with that part of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's like you said, as a different brainwave state, right? Which is probably at the same brainwave state as meditation would be, I would guess, right? But it's
Deep,
more
deep
where
meditation.
you're digging into that subconscious, right?
Yes, yeah. And it's a way to, the theory is we're shutting down the critical thinking conscious brain to work with the subconscious to rewire. So if I'm doing suggestions on self-esteem, it would be, and I love myself, and the world is a safe place, and I am confident. Um, but I always tell clients with hypnotherapy, it can't just be one and done. You come to the session, you listen to it, magic, you're changed. No, we've got to, it's auto suggestion. I record the sessions for them. They take it home, replay it hopefully daily. Then we rewire the brain in that way through the repetition. Hmm.
Yeah, neat. Yeah, it's so great all the different like you said, all the different things that you have in your toolbox that people can use in psychotherapy.
Yeah.
I know that people can find you on Spiritual Canada, and we've got,
Yes.
I don't know, just a couple minutes left. I want to check in to find out where else people can find you, and also just to, is there any thoughts that we want to leave people with today as well?
Sure. I do want to let people know it's not just myself. We have four other therapists. We all have different tools and modalities, different personalities. So I encourage people to go to our website. It's www.checkingintherapy.ca. You can see all of our team members there. You can look at our 2 locations, one in Crystal Beach, one in Fort Erie. Yeah, we are happy to do free 15-minute consultations. I do want to let people know that most benefit companies do cover psychotherapy. We have coverage through Indigenous Services Canada and Victim Services Canada. So whether you're interested in exploring different mental health goals or working on connecting more with spirituality, we would be happy to connect, happy to see how we can help people out. I do believe that healing isn't just about managing symptoms, because mental health so often in the health field is about that. I believe it's more in getting to the root. I preach this to my staff all the time. It's all about psychotherapy is more for our team at Checking In about connecting, finding presence with the client, getting to the root by checking in, and then either connecting spiritually or finding that deep purpose that will create that lasting motivation and change for the clients. Yeah, so it's about a return to wholeness and presence, oneness, connection.
Yeah, and peace.
And peace, exactly. Can't forget that.
Okay,
Beautiful.
well, thanks so much, Amanda. This is a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. And thank you for reaching out, because just thinking about incorporating spirituality has got me really the wheels turning on how I can do that more, and invite more people to explore that. So thank you so much for having me.
My thanks to Amanda Fidler with Checking In Counselling and Consulting for joining me today. And thank you for listening in. Be sure to subscribe to us on the Spiritual Canada YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Spotify or iTunes. Until next time, I'm Kathy Upper, and this is Uncovering Spirituality.